Hello everyone, my name's Lindy Joubert. I'm the coordinator of this subject, Visualising Environments. This is a subject that has been devised to more or less underpin most of the other subjects you're going to do, because it gives you all the skills you need to be able to represent your ideas, to understand the environment spatially and visually, and to learn the skills that you're going to need, both computer skills and drawing skills. It's a subject where we have, this is the program. It's a 12-week program. You come every week, you have a 1-hour lecture, and then you have a 3-hour studio. We have expert people teaching you, usually over all these weeks. Our team of tutors are extremely experienced, all practicing architects, all had tremendous experience across the board. And we don't have an exam at the end, we have a folio that you present. And we also mark you week by week, so it keeps your marking up to date and you don't have that terrible worry at the end about cramming. We really make sure that you work solidly right throughout the semester. These are the weeks that we have. We have an introduction to freehand perspective drawing. You can see it all there, I won't go through it particularly. We have constructed drawing, orthographic projections, then we have model making and photography, then we have Rhino, which is one of the computer programs you're going to be needing throughout your course and as a professional. Then we have orthographic drawings, AutoCAD, another professional computer program. Then we'll have pictorial drawings using perspective, where we teach you how to, look at something using all those mathematical skills of looking at something, from the plan, elevation, what you need. And then analytical diagrams, because how do you represent a whole lot of information in the most interesting and graphic and instantaneous way? The way is through an analytical diagram. So we ask you to do a certain amount of research within the studio and then to present these really interesting diagrams. Then we have Adobe Photoshop, then we have InDesign, and then we have freehand drawing describing your environment. So as you can see, it's a real mix of a whole range of things, real skills that are going to support you throughout your career. Now, one of the things we talk about is this language of design, understanding the elements, looking and developing an aesthetic approach, trying to understand what taste, what a sort of an understanding of your environment is all about. And then we talk about the principles of design. And these basic things, the elements and principles of design, are the language of design that you need to more or less apply every time you draw or every time you make a decision. And these are unity, rhythm, balance, variety, emphasis and proportion. And we talk about these things. And then you have the elements of design, which are line, shape, form, space, texture and colour. So this is the absolute fundamental ABC of what being a designer and what being a visual representator is. And why would you want to do this subject? Basically, it's all about learning how to communicate instantly, how to have a pencil in your hand and to be able to represent an idea. And for people who've come from physics, maths and chemistry, this subject is so important, because you often think, I can't draw, I've never drawn. But in fact, everybody can draw very well. And drawing really is based on a whole range of scientific principles that were discovered at the time of the Greeks. And it's all based on optics, it's all based on perspective, it's all based on foreshortening, convergence, diminution. It has a whole basis in scientific principles. And once you understand the art and the science of this subject, it is amazing how people who have never drawn can end up doing extremely beautiful drawings. So it's really quite a voyage of discovery. You do develop the skills that are essential for any design-related career, and you also learn the fundamental language. I'm sure a lot of these things we talk about, the language, you haven't had, or if you're lucky enough to have done these subjects at school, you're going to blossom in this subject. And you also learn an awful lot from working with each other. The studio situation is one of sharing, where we discuss ideas, where we show each other's work. And as I say, you have marvellous tutors who really draw out the best in you. And we do share and communicate and collaborate very, very well. It's one of the most important things of studio work, is this sharing and collaboration and learning from each other. The basic skills that you're going to develop are going to help you define problems and establish objectives. You have to be an efficient designer. You have to do things in the quickest and most practical way possible. You learn to do research. That's the underlying thing. It's not a mindless subject. It's where you actually investigate deeply. You think deeply about every stroke, every question, every decision that you make. You learn how to brainstorm and develop ideas. You go into a studio, often you feel absolutely stuck. You're tired. You might have had a big night the night before. How do you get the brain working? One of the things about drawing is it actually activates parts of the brain that stimulate creativity. So this is brainstorming. When you sit on the psychiatrist's couch, you want to solve your emotional problems, you do this brainstorming where there's a whole stream of consciousness. This is the sort of thing we do in this subject. We delve into the brain, into the subconscious, and you'll find that you will, in fact, learn to analyse things in a deeper, much more proficient way. You also learn through the skills in the class, all these computer and drawing skills, to execute designs to a very high standard. And above all, you get tremendous confidence from this subject. I've had so many students who come to me and say, Lindy, I just look at the world differently now. So that's why it's visualising your environment. You really do look at the world differently and you have the ability to represent it on a piece of paper. Although you're using the computer a lot in this subject, you're getting all the basic language and all the basic skills that you will develop throughout your career here, the computer is not a brain, believe it or not. It's almost there. I mean, at the MIT Multimedia Lab, they are very close to developing a computer that is functioning very like a brain, but it's not there. It cannot create, that's all up to you, and a computer really is just a matter of style and substance. And what I've found through all my travels, interviewing architects and artists and people who, go for huge competitions around the world, they say increasingly the hand-drawn image is often the one that is winning the big competitions these days. Computer programs are so slick, so smart, so clever, but there is an emotion attached to a drawing that you cannot really create on a computer. It's getting there, but it's not there yet. So increasingly, hand-drawn images are very important in your presentations. One of the things we encourage you to do is to do a sketchbook. So we have one of our introductory weeks, second week, it's all about developing a sketchbook. And this is something that you'll have for the rest of your career. Have a little book, you do your drawings, you put in your ideas, and it's a great way for just a personal notebook, and it's a great way of storing ideas, imagery, reflections, anything you like you can put into this sketchbook. And we do look at this sketchbook when we mark you at the end. Now these are all the sort of drawings that you're going to do week by week in the freehand drawing components. Believe me, I've had students who've never picked up a pencil and end up drawing like this. But it is a matter of constructing your environment, with perspective, with all the lines of sight, with the cone of vision, all this whole new language that we will talk to you about. Here is another student drawing where we talk about shade and shadow and the way light behaves. We talk about texture, we talk about materials, and we also talk about the much more ephemeral things of reflections and what you do not see, and how important it is to not put everything into your drawing, to develop the taste and the refinement, what to leave out of your drawings. You don't have to put everything in to understand what you're trying to say. Here is another drawing. As you can see, beautiful drawings, beautiful shade, shadow, texture, hatching, there's a delicacy, and yet we understand it. We teach you all about doing these constructed drawings that Claire was talking about. We start off very simply, where you just do your own bedroom first, but it is a language that you're going to learn, that you're going to be able to apply. We talk about axonometric drawings, isometric drawings, this geometric language that has been going for so many centuries. And it is an international language, as Claire said, because in days gone by it was always the Italian architect who designed and built everything and created everything, and then suddenly they were going off to Holland and they were going off to France and going off to England, but those people didn't speak Italian. So what happened? This new geometric language was invented that everybody could understand. This is the universal language of geometry in architecture. You learn about elevations, plans and sections, and you'll also do some examples of that. And you'll also do all these freehand sketching of your plans and sections. We do 1 week on diagrammatic drawings, and this is what the sort of thing you do. It's a whole lot of information that has been condensed into a very pictorial, graphic way to visually represent a situation or circumstances or an environment. And here's another exercise they do, again, some of these diagrams, analytical diagrams. This is model making, where you make sketch design models. You'll do this using three-dimensional form. This is another one of the computer programs, orthographic drawings using AutoCAD. It's an introduction where you'll learn all about drawing the various units, understanding the basic geometry, and understanding the program. You'll also do an introduction to Rhino, which is a 3D modelling program. So after this subject, you're going to be very well equipped to go into any design-related degree that you choose. We're also going to do Adobe InDesign, which is a very graphic, colourful design computer program. Okay, so that's basically it. I do hope you enjoy your time at Melbourne University. It is a wonderful university and it's a tremendous course. Thank you very much indeed.